And the other thing that I've gone on a lot about is that this still is for me at the forefront of human social evolution. The way we interact these days, through social networking and the ability to communicate and stay in touch with people, it's unbelievable. I mean, I saw it again now. I bumped into Gregory Blonde, long story, I bumped into him now in London, and we were chatting, and I knew the guy. But my point is that the second part of this for me is just that really, we're busy shaping in a way how we will interact with each other across the globe in the many years to come. And I think certainly that the wildlife communities or people that are fond of the wildlife should always be positive people. We should be getting along with each other and enjoying it. And that's, for me, the next 48 hours really is about that, is to go and see as much wildlife as possible and to enjoy, all the, if not everything, certainly, which is almost everything, should be everything, the positive things that we as a community share. So those are the two main things for me. And then just to, look around.
Yeah, no, just to absorb it all.
Yeah.
When you stay in a place for a long time, anybody knows this. When you're staying in a place for a long time, you don't see the gradual changes that take place. But when you step away from it for even 2 weeks, like we do when we're on leave, they mark changes. But having been away for, you got
the protein and you're really thirsty.
When you step away from it for the length of period, for the 8-9 months almost that you've been away, there are going to be quite strong differences. I mean, although when you left it was the end of summer, now it's sort of at the beginning of summer. You've been here long enough that there are individual trees that you know of. One sad thing that you're going to see, possibly, I don't know if you're going to be able to go down the Milwaukee, is that pair of trees that you loved so much. You used to put your mud hand on the leadwood and the jackleberry. The jackleberry is fallen.
I actually remember that. That fell just not long before we left.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
Was it down or is it growing still?
No. When you have a look at I actually was there and we had a look at the base of it, and it had rotten. I mean, the living tissue of that jackleberry was very, very narrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was doomed. The core of it was quite rotten. But I remember you always used to remark about that pair of trees. I mean, how many
I actually thought that would
centuries those two trees grew together? I mean, they must have been a few hundred years.
They had such a perfect trunk. I mean, actually, at the time, I remember when I saw it, it would have been nice if they'd almost gone and collected that, Voyatella or someone, and just made it into a really nice bench at their briar site, or just, it's such a perfect, beautiful piece of Yeah.
And the other thing is, I don't know how many times you saw it, but that beautiful big jackleberry on Gary Cutline.
The big one.
The big one.
Yeah.
The one that I've always wished to see a leopard in. I know you've seen, I think it was even Karula on Twin Dams, the big jackleberry at Twin Dams, you've seen leopard there. But I've always driven past that jackleberry on Gary Cutline and wished to see a leopard in there. And of course it had to happen when I was on leave. Just this recent leave now, Karula in her full pregnancy was lying somewhat uncomfortably, I guess, on one of those very thick branches. And I think when you look at a tree like that, and a tree that size, that has lived for so many centuries, the chances of seeing a leopard in that tree are very, very remote. It's not going to happen that often. You're going to see it once, and it might be a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But over its lifespan, it's going to see many, many leopards lying on its branch, if you know what I mean.
Hundreds.
In our short space of time, on this little patch of land, we might see one leopard in its branches. But if that tree could talk and tell how many leopards it's had lying in its crown, there's something else. There's a vulture, there's a baby vulture in the vulture's nest. Be nice if you maybe just stop by somehow and have a look at that. We're trying to keep track of it. Last time I was past the nest, I didn't see anything. We just kept one of the adults shading it in the heat of the day sometimes. The hyena den. Floppy, we don't know where she is now, by the way, but she looked like she was getting ready to give birth.
Yeah.
We found a new den up on Mvubu Road. I don't know if you know if there was ever a den up there.
Mvubu Road, okay, the one here from Gary Dam.
Gary Dam. Where you go up on Mvubu Road, you got a little track that comes down to room 5. Just on the northern side of that, there's a big termite mound.
Quite a sort of a flat one like that.
No, it's actually quite a big one.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a. It's not a pointy big one. It's like a.
Yeah, it's rounded out almost. Yeah. But it's right in that little corner with Mvubu Road and the track that goes down. We're 20 yards from Mvubu Road and 10 yards from the other road. And I found it by accident with Mike and Laura. Funnily enough, we were following wild dog one evening, and we actually just stumbled across the den. And there's one of the females there who's got a bit of a chewed right ear. She has 2 cubs, but she's moved them now to the older
pups or cubs. Pubs. So I've just been to London. Pubs or Cubs?
Cubs.
Yeah.
But she's moved them now. If you're interested, up on Leadwood Road.
Okay.
There's a den. You'll see there's
Leadwood Road. Okay, where's the den then? Oh, the one that's got a little track going to it, right on the...
No, it's not that old track.
Okay.
That old track where we used to go through to those pans where we once had a mission in Duna. It's not that little track. It's a new track now, because this was also found by chance. Tara found this by watching a steenbok, and then from the steenbok looking at something, she saw the hyena. The hyena came towards them, if I can remember correctly, and then actually followed, or rather took them through a little drainage line to the den, and that's where she is now. But there is now a track there.
Okay, where's the track? So hyena dens are always brilliant for those of you that haven't seen.
So if you're coming in from Cheetah Cutline, as Leadwood Road heads west, before
as it turns there,
before it turns south down to Gowrie Main, there's a termite mound on the left-hand side of the road. Just at that termite mound, there's a new track. You'll see it's a new track because you've driven this property so much.
Do you go through you go through the main dip, you go through the big dip or not?
No.
Okay.
So it's just after the sundowner spot.
Okay.
Still heading to the
before it does that, yeah.
Before it does that dip, or that bend, and that dip. On the right hand side there's a track that goes off. But you'll also see, since the rain, there have been a number of cars that have gone in there, and if we don't get rain tonight you'll see the tracks going in there. Cool. And she's there with her two youngsters.
Oh, nice.
They've been doing quite a lot of hunting on quarantine, the hyena. I actually saw them the other day with 2 kills in one morning on quarantine. We're getting close to the end of Fireside.
Quickly, sorry, just wild dogs, you still see them?
Oh yeah, we've had fantastic wild dogs.
Oh wow.
Oh, we had them for 2-3 days. I can't remember when it was a couple of months ago. On the floor, they burnt the fire, of course, they burnt the fire breaks, but also Cutline and on Cheetah Cutline. But Pat spent a day with them up near Sydney's Dam, sort of Aubrey's Road, between Aubrey's Road and Gallagher Shortcut, and I was there with them as well. We had got some incredible footage. The pups were pulling around a dake ahead and fighting over it. Then, having had the fire break and also being the dry season, the ground was flat, and the most amazing thing was driving in, and there were just ears everywhere. Just 24, I don't know how many? 21. Yeah, 10 adults, 11 pups. I don't know, there seemed to be 3, because the last time I saw them there were 24. But they were just everywhere. And so you could park the vehicle and the camera person didn't know where to point the camera. It was just activity with all 11 pups. They have spent a lot of time up on Biffle's Hook, and they were around Sydney's Dam quite a lot.
And there was a bit of a sort of coming and going, but never seen by us, black rhino activity just before.
Not after you.
Is it they've gone?
Well, you were one of the few people that, having come from Pilansberg and having had that kind of experience with black rhino, would be able to immediately ID black rhino tracks, but also perhaps pick out black rhino dung before picking up a twig and seeing that it had a bite at 45 degrees.
Okay,
I know there's a difference in the tannins of leaves and the colour of black rhino dung, but I'm not that familiar with them, so I would have to stop and really look closely. I've seen a few tracks around that look a bit iffy for white rhino because there's a smaller side toe. But there's been no reports, and of course your brown hyena hasn't made an appearance again.
That was a
one-off, really remarkable thing.
Never forget that.
Just before we go, I don't know if any of you have sent any more questions in. Waiting
I think we probably try to cover. I try to certainly cover as many of them as possible. In terms of,
from what I hear, there have been a number of questions that we've already covered the subject. But we're going to get ready to do one of Peter's favourite things, and that's cook some werewolves on the fire with a couple of salads and crack a beer, and probably catch up on a few things as well that we can catch up on off camera.
I think just to summarise, I just want to say again that firstly, thanks to everyone here for the opportunity to come and visit. It's brilliant. I'm very excited as always to be back in the Leopard. I'm very excited to be back with all of you, those of you that have been friends for a long time, and those of you that maybe are going on your first drive tomorrow with me. It's always special. I'm yet to do a game drive that hasn't been special, so looking forward to that tremendously. And it's going to be wildlife. That's the main thing. I want to go and look at animals, find animals, spend time with them, and spend time with wildlife enthusiasts, which are all of us. So
And we want you to do that. I mean, with your passion and your knowledge, I think that's what we want more of that from you. Then I think we've covered all the Pieter rendition stuff tonight.
Yeah, and I've got access to internet the next 2 days, so I'll play around with pictures a bit, and I'll certainly be active there a bit, and share some of my personal stuff there with those of you that are friends and or interested about just about where we are now and so much. I'm going to do that in between drive times a little. Tonight I'm going to get sleep. I haven't been sleeping for the last month really. I've been sleeping very little. But
we'll feed you soon and have a beer. It'll drowse you a bit. And I think we've got one or two.
In the fires, it's always worthwhile staying awake for.
One or two questions just to fill up our time, because we wanted to make it very special tonight and push it to an hour. So just if Craig can there are a few, one or two.
So just relay that. I took my earpiece out.
Okay, no, that's fine.
I'm still used to getting used to it.
A couple of people are wondering if Lishan's going to be on going to be with you on Drive, or maybe with you on Drive on the internet even.
No, maybe that's worthwhile clarifying. Just as I mentioned earlier, I know that there's been some buzz around that. Is partly where we are living now, or not partly, wholly where we're living now, we have very little internet access and very unreliable, and if it is working, it's extremely slow. I mean, it's caveman stuff compared to here. So for her to watch a Drive is just physically impossible. I spoke to her on the phone earlier, and I'll speak to her again later tonight. But she's not here at the moment. Hopefully next year we can come back and she can come with. And she unfortunately won't be able to join us on Drive either, just because of internet access. Where we live now, northern Namibia, our phone lines are not always that good. Never mind. I was
once a phone operator in northern Namibia. I won't get into that right now.
We used to have the normal assembly lines, and everyone's listening on the same line. Yes. But also, I just want to mention that again. It's the main reason why we have been sort of dropped off the end of the earth in terms of communications. Just because in some ways it's nice, and in other ways it's obviously frustrating. We don't really have proper internet access where we are, so
it is back in the Stone Age.
Yeah.
But I think maybe what we can maybe try and do is, because it is recorded, maybe we can download it somehow. I think Lishan would love to see you out there again. So I'm wondering if somehow maybe we can just download it, maybe put it on your computer or something to take on so you can see you doing it right.
I mean, the one thing, and this is maybe just to add into sort of the ending off part, is this whole 3D thing is amazing. I mean, I've just spent in London a few days now looking at a lot of not a lot of in terms of volume, but a lot of time at the volume that was available of 3D stuff, both aerial stuff and wildlife. And for wildlife, it's amazing. I mean, it's still the infant stages in many ways, both technology and access and all that. But the first shot I ever saw and will never forget was of Karula and a big male, I presume Yambilo, walking out into the road, and it was just like, literally, and I saw hundreds of people do this in London now when they saw it. Being
were they walking together like that?
Yeah, walking onto the road. It looked like sort of some of that open area, maybe.
No, that could have been that footage with Ntima and Yambilo Yadon coming up from Treehouse, crossing Philemon's Cut Line.
Okay.
And we followed them from Philemon's Cut Line straight through.
Yeah.
Down crossing Zoe's Road down onto Triple M. It was amazing.
And in 3D, that's just like it's just
and when an elephant putting up its trunk, or what you used to do is I do a lot is putting my hand out to elephants and that sort of thing.
So that's part of the fun, and that's certainly something that I'd love Lishan to see, because it just, as much as I expected something and I expected it maybe I built quite a picture to see it, and when I actually saw it, it was just amazing. So that's going to be fun as well, playing around with that a little bit, and yes, I'll get Lishan to see that. But otherwise, as I said, you never know. But maybe we can come back next year. It'll be awesome to come back and maybe see Karula's cubs, or come and visit every now and again and sort of come say how's it, and
it'll be nice to have the two of you
dimming up and down.
It'll be great to have you two. Yeah, we'll have our normal life back by then, but it'll be great to have the two of you around the fire again. In fact, maybe we can just put you at the fire and leave the two of you to chat about things. But I'll just have to say it's been a pleasure, and really great having you around again. And we're going to have a cracker of a drive tomorrow, to use a Will term. It's more of an English thing than I've ever used, but have a great drive tomorrow morning. I'm hoping that the cats are going to come out for you, at least Michelle or Induna or both. And thanks for all of you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed our special guest, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the next 3 drives with Pieter. And we're certainly going to have a wonderful time with him here in camp for the next 2 days. Thanks for joining us for Fireside Chat. We will be seeing you tomorrow morning at 5:30 for our morning safari. My name is Mark. Special guest, Pieter Pretorius. Seb has been on camera, Craig back in final control, and from all of us here at Wild Earth and Safari TV, good night and have a wonderful weekend.
Cheers everyone, see you in the morning.